I would like to introduce you to our guest speaker. Michelle McCamey is an education manager at EltaMD, and she has been a licensed esthetician for nearly 2 decades, with several years of experience in advanced skincare education and consulting. She's been recognized by Forbes magazine as Forbes 5-star magazine as one of the top estheticians in Colorado, and has partnered with numerous skincare companies. In addition to her aesthetic career, she's also a licensed hairstylist and a professional makeup artist, having worked for celebrities, television, and magazine publications. She joined EltaMD in 2022 as an education manager and was most recently awarded Educator of the Year. Michelle, thank you for joining us, and the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Chrissy. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the LovelySkin Masterclass. I'm going to pull up my screen here so I can officially take it away, but we're so thrilled to have you today to help you find the right SPF for you. All right, everyone. Thank you so much. Again, sorry about that. So as the video mentioned, yes, we are the #1 dermatologist recommended professional sunscreen brand. We are the #1 dermatologist trusted brand by in the sun care market, and the most personally used by more than any other brand when it comes to dermatologists' own personal sun care portfolio. So as I mentioned, I'm so thrilled to be here with you today. We are going to be diving into a lot of some advanced education when it comes to choosing the right appropriate sunscreen for you. Please, as Chrissy mentioned, please engage, ask those questions. We've got some amazing EltaMD experts that can really help facilitate your needs. But as the video mentioned, EltaMD's roots date all the way back to the 1800s. So there were a group of rural farmers in Northern Europe that created a healing ointment that was really meant for patients who were struggling with a lot of barrier dysfunction, a lot of wounds on the skin, right? And this ointment became widely popular in Europe. It was branded as Utra. So you may have heard of this healing ointment as Utra. And our founder in the late 1980s actually discovered the ointment, purchased the rights to it, and brought it back to the US to further develop it. So if you didn't know this, EltaMD actually started out as a wound care company. So we launched our EltaMD brand as a wound care brand to help service, those burn victims and burn units and, patients who were really struggling with debilitating skin conditions. It only made sense. It was only natural to our brand to go from wound care to healing to protective care. We know that the #1 skin cancer, in globally and in the US is unfortunately skin cancer. We also know we can prevent skin cancer by sunscreen use. And this image that you're seeing here of this lovely gentleman here, this is actually a very famous photo from the National Geographic magazine. And he was an Australian lifeguard for decades. And the yellow dots that you see on his skin represent melanoma that had been removed, right? So a lot of cancerous lesions that he suffered from. Melanoma is the deadliest form of skin cancer. We know in Australia, obviously, their UV index is very intense, but we also get exposed to that here in the US. So when we launched our sun care portfolio in the early 2007, we launched our brand at the American Academy of Dermatology, and we had this image posted up just to really set a precedent on, how skin cancer is truly an epidemic, right? And we're all affected, no matter your skin tone, no matter where you live in the world. It does not discriminate, right? So we still should all feel protected. And that was the foundation of our brand, making sure that everyone under the sun deserves to live freely. Wearable and effective sunscreens are really at the heart of our brand. We want to make sure that there are cosmetically elegant formulas for you. We know that, sunscreens have have come a long ways, but we were one of the first brands to really make sunscreen cosmetically elegant. We are professionally endorsed. As I mentioned, we are the #1 dermatologist recommended sun care brand. We are inclusive. We have various shades of tints to hit all Fitzpatrick's, all skin tones. We also have various options for those who may be struggling with certain skin conditions like aging, hyperpigmentation, acne, sensitive skin, cosmetically elegant formula, and scientifically proven formulas to actually help target some of those skin conditions and improve those skin conditions. So not only are you getting some amazing sun care products from us, you're also getting some amazing skincare. 1 in 5 Americans will develop skin cancer during their lifetime, and it can be prevented. Daily use of sunscreen reduces your risk of developing melanoma, the deadliest form of cancer, as I mentioned. Yet a large majority of people still skip their sunscreen. Why is that, right? Well, 90% of non-melanoma skin cancer are associated with UV exposure. So really up until the last few years, sunscreen has kind of gained more popularity, right? But we still have a lot of work to do. So your friends, your family, help us spread the word. We so appreciate you joining this masterclass. I think those who are attending this masterclass, you're much like me. You're a sun care fan, right? Or maybe you're curious. Maybe you haven't been a sun care fan and you want to learn more. So you're in the right place, but help us spread the message that we can really protect. All of us can be protected by UV radiation by wearing sun protection. So 5 or more sunburns doubles your risk of melanoma. So if you had sunburns in the past, just know you are at risk and you should still protect yourself. And 90% of skin aging, so not only are we at risk for skin cancer, but 90% of skin aging comes from the sun. And we're going to talk more about why that is. But before we get into how we really protect ourselves against those UVA and UVB radiations, let's talk a little bit about zinc oxide. Zinc oxide is a very powerful sunscreen filter. It's a mineral filter. It helps block out or physically reflect the UV radiation that we're exposed to. What you're seeing here on the screen is, it's called a UV attenuation chart. This is showing you different sunscreen filters at different percentages, but really showing you how if you're using zinc oxide in a formula, you really are truly getting the widest range of protection in your sun care formula. So it's really important to make sure you have amazing sunscreen filters. Yes, we use a variety of them at EltaMD. We use chemical filters and physical filters, which I'll dive in more a little bit later. But we will always have a base of zinc oxide in our formulas because it is the superior formula when protecting you against those longer wavelengths of that UVA radiation and UVB, right? So it's important that we're getting that broad spectrum protection, which, you can get that with a lot of other types of sunscreen filters and other, chemical filters, correct? But you have to tend to use larger quantities or more percentages of those chemical filters, which for some, if you have really sensitive skin conditions, if you get irritated easily by sunscreen, you may not want something that's heavily combined with more chemical filters versus mineral filters. And what you should always know with EltaMD sunscreens is that we will always have a base of zinc oxide in our formulas, right? It's superior. It's an anti-inflammatory property. It's hypoallergenic. It's actually also antimicrobial. And so if you have really sensitive skin, or if you're wanting more of that physical filter base, you will always get that with an EltaMD sunscreen. Our formulating philosophy, we have fragrance-free options. We have paraben-free. We have cruelty-free. Again, zinc-based sunscreen formulas will always be the case with us. We are going to support a variety of skin conditions, like I had mentioned, acne, sensitive skin, hyperpigmentation. If you struggle with post-inflammatory pigment, right? Maybe you have a lot of acne where you get those really higher grades of acne lesions that cause some of that acne scarring, some of that post-inflammatory hyperpigmentation. A lot of our sunscreens that we have what are called melanogenesis inhibiting ingredients. So not only are they going to protect you from the sun, they're going to help protect you against, stimulating some of that pigment that you might get from inflammation, like from acne or potentially from the heats or for the sun exposure, right? So they're very cosmetically elegant, yes, but our formulas are definitely backed by science and are proven to really make these structural changes when it comes to certain skin conditions. So based on kind of your needs, pay attention to the sunscreens that I go through, because I'll give you certain key takeaways as far as, this is for this type of skin condition and this skin concern. And if you like to have water resistant, or if you prefer something very mattifying on the skin, listen to those key benefits that might be more appropriate to you. So let's get into the need to know facts when it comes to, choosing the right sunscreen. We really need to understand what SPF is and what does it measure, right? So if you know what SPF stands for, go ahead and type it in the chat box. We've got moderators on there that will give you a nice thumbs up. But SPF stands for sun protection factor, right? And did you know that SPF is a measurement against UVB? UVB is the shortest wavelength, right? It's the shortest wavelength that is emitted by the sun. It's a form of energy. And it is nicknamed as the burning rays because it is the type of rays that can cause a more sensitivity, reddening effect on the skin. It can cause DNA damage. It is definitely a contributor to skin cancer. It also contributes to aging concerns. But it's really important that we do protect ourselves from UVB, because that shorter wavelength will cause a lot of destruction on the barriers of our skin, the outer layer of our skin, and also the epidermis. And skin is our largest organ, right? So we want to make sure we protect ourselves from that UVB radiation. So SPF is a measurement against UVB. And it doesn't necessarily equate to time, although I know a lot of consumers get confused by the number. The number doesn't necessarily indicate that it's going to protect you based on, a certain time range. What you should always remember is no matter how long you're going to be out in the sun, right? If you're going to be out sun for a long period of time, you should reapply. Every 2 hours is ideal. But please reapply your sunscreen, because when they do the studies on creating that number, which is a measurement against UVB, so they place basically on untreated skin versus treated skin with that sunscreen filter, and they time how long it takes for your for your skin to burn on unprotected skin versus protected skin. And based on that equation, that's how we get that number. But we know that number can be very tricky for some, because if you perspire a lot, or if you're not getting a nice even application, if you're not reapplying on a consistent basis, that number may not be 100% accurate for you. So what's really important is that you always look for an SPF 30 and above. The American Academy of Dermatology recommends that you always look for SPF 30 or above. That's kind of a great general rule of thumb to know that you're going to get that true broad spectrum protection. You should be well protected for up to 2 hours, especially if you're in, extended sun exposure, that heat environment. Look for SPF 30 and above. I know back in the day they said SPF 15. But the new standard is SPF 30. So if you need a new sunscreen, look no further, because all of EltaMD sunscreens will be SPF 30 and above. But as you're seeing the screen here, we have different types of UV radiation. So I'm going to dive in a little bit more into those energies. So we talked a little bit about UVB radiation, right? The burning rays. Did you know these types of rays reflect off of snow and ice as well? So 80% of those rays can be intensified by snow and ice, any type of water, moisture, right? Dry beach, sandy areas. I had a girlfriend of mine She went to Mexico recently. She said, Michelle, I didn't put my sunscreen on because I was in the shade laying by the beach reading my book and my legs got fried. And I said, did you know there's a lot of moisture particle in the dry beach and it can actually create a reflecting effect and cause some of that burning. So still protect yourself, even if it doesn't seem so sunny outside. And then of course, grass, soil, water can reflect up to 10%. So no matter the time of year, you are being exposed. And it's a big misconception that if it's a cloudy day, if it's gloomy outside, that those UV rays cannot penetrate, but they actually can, right? So year round, we are exposed to those UVB rays. The UVA rays are a longer wavelength that is emitted by the sun, right? So it's another form of energy. And this can cause a lot of destruction to your collagen, to elastin fibers, a lot of key structures and tissue that live in the deeper layers of your skin. So you have your epidermis, and then you have your dermal layers, right? So your deepest layer. And that is where we like to say your mattress lives, right? The bounce back, what is responsible for the cushioning in your skin, lives in your dermal levels. And those UVA rays can penetrate and reach and cause a lot of destruction. So it's really important that you're always looking for a broad spectrum sunscreen because that SPF is a measurement against UVB. But if we're wanting protection on UVA, you want it to always say broad spectrum on the label, which of course you're going to get with EltaMD. UVA radiation can also induce matrix metalloproteinase enzymes or MMP1s. And so these are a type of protein or enzyme that actually they help kind of digest some waste in our skin. But however, if they get over triggered by pollutants, by the sun, by our lifestyle, they tend to attack our new collagen that's being developed, our new hyaluronic acid that's being developed, and our new elastin that's being developed. So in order to protect ourselves against that enzyme that gets overproduced by the heat and by the sun, we want to make sure we're also using sunscreen for that reason as well. And a great example of that, you can see the images on the screen of these patient profiles. The right image that you're looking at, that is a gentleman who was a truck driver, and UVA radiation can penetrate through glass. So UVB rays cannot, but UVA rays can. So when you're driving, or if you work in an office and you're sitting near a window, you still need to protect yourself, right? Because you're still being exposed. And you can see a lot of that damage on the left side of his skin, the driver's side, right? So the deep wrinkling, the pigmentation, the loss of elasticity, right? And of course, he's also, at risk for developing skin cancer. Same goes with that first image as well. Also a truck driver. You can see the droopy eyelids, right? So if you're looking at the area that's kind of looking a little bit more lifted, that wasn't as exposed. But think if he had put sunscreen all over, how much his skin would have kind of maintained the healthiness of, preventing or slowing down the signs of aging, and most importantly, protecting from skin cancer. So how are we going to protect ourselves against UV radiation? Well, we're going to use sunscreen filters. So there are two types of sunscreen filters that we currently use in the United States. And those filters are divided into physical filters, also known as mineral filters. So if you hear me say mineral filter, I'm also talking about physical filters. And then of course, chemical filters. So you can see the facts on the screen here of the causes of damage that you get from the different types of UV radiation. And if you look below, mineral filters are a part of inorganic chemistry. And it's a big misconception that physical or mineral filters are, natural, right? While they may come from natural resources, they still have to go through a form of chemistry, right? They still have to be filtered out. And so it is a part of inorganic chemistry that can actually create a film on the skin and reflect that UV exposure. So that is its line of defense. That's the mechanism of action. When you're using a chemical filter, It is a part of organic chemistry, and it actually absorbs that UV radiation and can translate it into a different form of energy known as heat. Once it translates into heat, your body's natural response is to release it. And that heat is not going to stimulate too much internal heat that would potentially cause maybe that melanogenesis, kind of stimulating some of that pigment. So if that's a concern for you, do not fret, because our bodies are mostly made up of water. So it takes a lot for our bodies to really stimulate melanocyte activity by that heated element. And so when you have that chemical filter, absorbing and translating it and your body emitting it to heat, it is no difference as if you were not wearing sunscreen at all, right? It shouldn't cause any disruption in that internal heat factor if that's something that you're thinking about. But one of the reasons why chemical filters are becoming more and more popular in sunscreen formulas is they create a better slip and feel. We know that zinc oxide is really, really hard to formulate with. So when you have someone who has maybe a very oily complexion or a deeper skin tone, if you're using just straight zinc oxide, you're not going to get a nice kind of texture or cosmetically elegant effect unless you blend it with maybe a chemical filter, which can provide a better slip and feel in the formula, or you use our zinc oxide formulas because we have a special technology behind them that makes them cosmetically elegant. Speaking of that, that is what we call Think Zinc. So Think Zinc is proprietary to EltaMD. This is kind of what we're known for. And what Think Zinc is, it is a primary particle size of 20 nanometers, okay, of zinc oxide. And after this Think Zinc process, after formulation, it will create a particle size that is non-nano. And that's huge. There's not a lot of companies that are able to do that with zinc oxide and still make it cosmetically elegant. And because of this process, we were able to create a zinc oxide that's very wearable. It's almost sheer on the skin. It should not leave a white cast on your skin. And we're one of the only companies that have this technology. So that's really another reason why we are the #1 dermatologist recommended sunscreen brand. We have amazing formulas that are very cosmetically elegant and pleasant because of this Think Zinc technology that is proprietary to us. So let's get into our sun care portfolio. We have sunscreen made for skin, not just the sun. We want you to fall in love with your sunscreen, right? So we have a lot of options to discuss today for the face and the body, because this is definitely something you've got to protect, but also the other exposed areas. And this is the time of year, right? May is Skin Cancer Awareness Month. We're about to step into those hotter months. You want to make sure your friends and family are well protected. So we'll dive into all the options that you have for the body. Again, we have a lot of options based on skin condition. So listen to those key takeaways as I go through each product. We're going to talk about why our sunscreens can help with those who are struggling with some dehydration. So if you have really dry, sensitive skin, those who are struggling with higher grades of acne, adolescent acne, adult acne, look no further. We've got an option for you when it comes to sunscreen. Photo aging, also known as hyperpigmentation, that maybe you're getting from sun exposure, or maybe you're getting from some type of hormonal imbalance. That is called melasma, right? That type of pigment concern. Sometimes certain medications can trigger that melasma effect. If you're currently expecting, if you're nursing, that could also trigger some of that melasma. And then, of course, what I had mentioned earlier, post-inflammatory hyperpigmentation, that can happen from acne lesions. Think of like nodules, cystic like acne, some of those deeper breakouts that might leave a scar behind, a pigment scar. And of course, if you've had any type of trauma to the skin, a cut, wound, sore, and if it's left a mark behind, that's also a form of photo damage, right? Repairing and soothing, we have a lot of options for those who have very sensitive skin condition. I will just disclose I have been diagnosed rosacea, subtype 1 rosacea. I do have sensitized skin, if you will. I, of course, as an esthetician over the 20 years of my career, I've found a lot of things. I've learned a lot about my sensitive skin condition to determine what my triggers are, and I found sunscreens that are more appropriate to me. So if that is you as well, pay attention. I've got you. And then your active lifestyle. If you're that avid runner, if you're the swimmer of the year this summer, if you are in CrossFit, hot yoga, you're sweating, we want to make sure you're protecting your skin, and we want to make sure your sunscreen can uphold that performance. So again, pay attention. We've got a lot of options, and everything does look the same at EltaMD when it comes to our labeling. So I'll help point out kind of how you can differentiate the labeling a little bit. So let's start off with hydration. Let's go through some of our hydrating options that we have at EltaMD. And if you have dehydrated skin, you could also have oily skin. So if you are struggling with what is called dry acne, maybe you're using a lot of products that are kind of stripping your barrier because you're trying to regulate the acne or trying to regulate, the sebum production and the bacteria, right? Or the congestion, you could also struggle from dehydration. So if this is you, definitely look no further. And again, those who are just traditionally more dry, unfortunately, as we age, our skin gets thinner, we lose a lot of moisture, we get transepidermal water loss. So here are your options for hydration, starting with UV Daily. UV Daily is one of my personal favorites. It was the first sunscreen that I purchased before I started working for EltaMD, and UV Daily promotes dewiness. I don't know if you can see this here on my camera, but EltaMD has UV Daily, which has a blend of zinc oxide and octinoxate. So you have that physical filter and you have a chemical filter. So we call this a hybrid sunscreen. So hybrid is going to have two forms of sunscreen filters, right? And the reason why we like to cocktail them, if you will, is because it will make this formula very creamy. Now, this is a new bottle, so just hold on with me. I'm going to pump it a little bit. But here is what UV Daily looks like. It's very moisturizing, very emollient. You can kind of see the shine on my skin. UV Daily is an SPF of 40. So we're already hitting that 30 and above mark. And it has a little bit of shea butter. It has hyaluronic acid, which we stimulate hyaluronic acid naturally in our bodies, but we lose a lot of it as well. The matrix metalloproteinase enzyme can definitely destroy some of that hyaluronic acid. So there's just things internally that are already working against us. So if we can go ahead and add hyaluronic acid topically to retain that moisture, it's going to help with that barrier, help draw moisture from the environment actually, and pull moisture from your dermis and retain it in the epidermis. Now we do offer UV Daily in a tint, and I will show you the tints when I go into UV Clear, because I want to show you the range of new tints that we have with both of these products. But UV Daily, tinted, we're using iron oxide. And fun fact about iron oxide is it is a great antioxidant to protect you against UV, obviously UV radiation, but blue light. So other forms of visible light or high energy light or infrared light or blue light exposure. So, they're still doing a ton of studies on, how harmful blue light can be to our skin. They already know that it does cause some irritation and some sensitivity. So looking for something with iron oxide or specific antioxidants that can protect you against those other forms of visible light is really important. Look no further. We have you here at EltaMD. All right. So UV Daily, as I mentioned, a great option for very, dry, dehydrated skin types. It is going to create a little bit of a glow on the skin. So if you do like that dewiness, or if you simply want a 2-in-1, you don't want to layer a bunch of products on your skin. You want to have a moisturizer that has sun protection in it. That's where UV Daily comes into play, right? All right, UV Facial is another lightweight, creamy, moisturizing sunscreen option. And I like this because if you are, traveling and you need something for the whole family, it is a nice 3-ounce size. It's also a hybrid formula, SPF 35 and above. It has vitamin E, which is a very powerful lipid-soluble vitamin. It's really great as an antioxidant. It can help repair the barrier. And this also has petrolatum in it, which is an occlusive. So that's going to lock in a lot of moisture. So if you want something even more emollient than UV Daily, that's where UV Facial comes into play. And pro tip and fun fact, UV Facial was our first sunscreen SKU. When we launched our EltaMD sun care portfolio, this was our legacy SKU. So it's been around for some time. And if you have ever used our product UV for the body, UV lotion, excuse me, it is actually the same formula. So if you want a nice travel size of UV lotion, look no further. That's where UV Facial comes into play. And then additional options for hydration for the lips. We cannot skip out on the lips. I do have it over here, excuse me. I've got my UV lip balm, or I thought I did, excuse me. I thought I had it around here somewhere. It tends to travel on me sometimes, but UV lip balm is a hybrid formula as well. So that physical chemical filter combination. It also has hydromanil. So if you are, one that kind of licks your lips a lot, or if you just get really dry lips, maybe you live in high altitude, it's just a very dry climate. Maybe you are, in an area where there's colder temperatures. Maybe you're, going through certain medications that can make your lips really, really dry. I know patients that go through Accutane definitely struggle with this. Definitely think about incorporating UV lip balm. It is extremely emollient with that hydromanil. That is a proprietary blend of certain hyaluronic acid elements that are going to pull and draw moisture to the suppleness of your lips. The other addition to hyaluronic acid is it will cause a light kind of volume or a perking effect, right? So if you need a little cushioning effect on your lips, that's where UV lip balm comes into play. This also has vitamin E, that tocopherol acetate, which is an antioxidant, as I mentioned earlier. So you have something that will protect against free radicals. And again, it is a lipid-soluble vitamin, so it's also as an inclusive. The great thing about UV lip balm is it is going to have some protection in it. So if you're like me and you like to wear a lot of lip products, and especially gloss, like shiny or lip products, something you should know is that gloss can actually intensify radiation. So if you're outside and you got your juicy lip gloss on, my recommendation is to throw on UV lip balm first as a base to really protect, and then you can throw on your gloss and your other fun cosmetics on top. This is also water resistant, so it will uphold if you're skiing, if you're swimming, and it's really great for the whole family. And then moving on from hydration to dry skin to more oily prone, breakout prone. If you really do have different forms of acne, we have some amazing formulas to go through. So acne can vary. It's one of the most complex skin conditions. You can have very oily skin. You can have, very inflamed acne, a lot of congestion, a lot of buildup, starting with UV Clear. UV Clear is our #1 seller at EltaMD, and I have a feeling at LovelySkin as well. So UV Clear is SPF 46. It is a hybrid formula. It comes in an untinted formula and a tint. So just to kind of show you the different ranges of tints that we have, this is untinted. Hopefully you can see that there. This is our medium tint. And we recently just launched our brand new deep tint, and this also comes in UV daily as well. So it's the same tint. I want to show you the different ranges here. Now, I'm a very lighter skin tone. I'm Scottish Irish, so I typically use the untinted formulas of UV Clear and UV Daily, but the medium tint is really great for I would say, like if you have a hereditary background of Northern European, English descent, Native American, some of the, more yellow undertones or pink undertones in your skin, you're probably going to like that medium tint. If you're like me, if you have kind of a fairer complexion, you can get away with wearing the medium tint. It just is going to create a little bit of a glow, if you will, which, I kind of like sometimes when I'm going a little heavy handed with the bronzer. And then we have this amazing new deep tint, which has been looking awesome on our skin of color, deeper skin tones. It is very universal. So these aren't makeup products. This is sunscreen, right? So we were able to test this against the really deeper skin tones. We categorize skin color based off of a Fitzpatrick scale. This was a scale that was created by Dr. Fitzpatrick in the 1975. All right, so it's a range of 1 through 6. So if you've heard the Fitzpatrick scale, you know that a Fitz 5 and 6 tends to struggle finding a cosmetically elegant sunscreen. And that's where our new deep tints of UV Clear and UV Daily can come into play. So look no further, they are beautiful. But what makes UV Clear great for acne is the niacinamide. So we're using 9% niacinamide, or 9%, excuse me, 5% niacinamide, which is an amazing antioxidant, anti-inflammatory property, melanogenesis inhibitor. It also helps regulate oil production, and it's really great to inhibit some of that pigment that you might get from post inflammation, right? It also has the iron oxides in here. So again, if you are indoors, you're in front of your devices, or you're outside and you're getting high energy visible light exposure, you've got that protection with UV Clear. So a great non-comedogenic option for oily, acne-prone skin. Now, if you have really sensitized skin, maybe you struggle with subtype 2 rosacea, so maybe you have more of the acne and some of that sensitive skin condition of rosacea, you may want to try our 100% mineral only option, UV Physical. Now, UV Physical is all mineral, so that physical filter. This is also water resistant for up to 40 minutes. It has an antioxidant blend of linoleic acid, quercetin, and thiotic acid. Those are great antioxidants. They're brighteners on the skin. Linoleic acid actually can regulate sebum production. And this is water resistant for up to 40 minutes. It also creates a nice kind of semi-mattifying finish. As does UV Clear, by the way, which I didn't mention. But this is a great option if you're a fan of UV Clear, but maybe you want something water resistant. You want something that is not going to exacerbate maybe some of your acne concerns or oil. I would recommend UV Physical. The tint is very similar to the UV Clear medium tint, and it's got a nice kind of whipped creamy like texture. All right, let's move on to sun damage, photo damage, hyperpigmentation, melasma, and fine lines and preventative, those aging concerns. Well, we have our UVA Ox Mist, and this can be used for the whole body, which is really exciting, and the face. If you want to just spray this in your hand and apply, you're welcome to do it that way. UVA Ox Mist is 100% mineral. It's a water resistant formula up to 40 minutes, zinc oxide at 14.5%, which is really hard to formulate with, but this sprays on white and it blends in sheer and clear. It is beautiful. It's extremely hydrating. It's got vitamin C, vitamin E, some great antioxidants. and it's very emollient. There's coconut in here, there's aloe vera in here, there's vitamin E, and you're getting that 360 protection against all those forms of visible light, as I mentioned. It's fragrance free, it's paraben free, it's non-comedogenic, it's hypoallergenic. So it's really great for any family members in your life or yourself if you do struggle with a lot of sensitivities. And again, it's water resistant for up to 40 minutes. All right, then we have to pair up with our AOX mist. We have UV AOX elements, and this is what I'm currently wearing today. So this is our newest formula from EltaMD. It's UV AOX elements. So it's a play on our AOX mist, right? But it has a beautiful tint to it. Again, this is a new bottle, so bear with me as I pump and prime my container. But UV AOX elements has iron oxides, right? So you're going to get that nice tint that will help kind of blur out some imperfections. So I use UV elements as my makeup product. It is sunscreen, right? But it is great for coverage. You can see how smooth it makes the skin. So this is SPF 50, definitely 30 and above, and it blocks up to 56% of blue light, more than our other formula that we used to have, which was our traditional UV elements. So this is a play on that, but it's been upgraded and it is beautiful. It is hydrating, so great for those who have drier skin concerns, hyperpigmentation, because we're using vitamin C, which is great for melanogenesis, great for protecting you against free radicals. I always say vitamin C is the BLT, the brightener, lightener, tightener. So it does a little bit of everything. It has been proven to stimulate collagen. Bisabola and ginger root can help with inflammation. So if you get flushed very easily, maybe you're outside for a long period of time and that heat is just stimulating a lot of circulation, those antioxidants are going to help soothe the skin and alleviate some of that irritation. And then, of course, we have hyaluronic acid in here, right? So we're using hyaluronic acid to increase hydration and help with that moisture retention. So a great option if you have melasma, PIH, any type of sun damage, liver spots, age spots. I highly recommend UV AOX elements, and also a great option for those who are, wanting a full mineral option. By the way, this is also water resistant for up to 40 minutes. And then we have our new UV AOX eye, which is very similar to the UV AOX element tint. So it is a tinted sunscreen for the eye area. It's got 15% zinc oxide, 100% mineral, vitamin E. We have the Albiza gilbrizin bark extracts, the Persian silk tree extract, which actually helps with circulation. It helps with puffiness, dark circles. So if you've got those tired eyes like myself, this is not only a sunscreen for the eye, the delicate eye area, but it is a skincare product. And the other thing that I love about this is it has palmityl tripeptide 56, which is a proprietary peptide to help stimulate certain collagen levels. So if you're kind of struggling with the signs of aging around the eye, this is going to help kind of strengthen the tissue with that peptide, that protein, to help stimulate more collagen. Again, paraben-free, fragrance-free, non-comedogenic. A lot of people have asked if you can use this as concealer. Absolutely. I will tell you it's very, very sheer. So if you've got some imperfections, you may want to double up, but this is also great to use as a touch-up product. You can use it around the lips as well. You don't have to just use it for the eye. It's really, really beautiful. And one of our newest products that we have at EltaMD. All right, moving on, we have UV Restore. So if you're not wanting something water resistant with UV AOX elements, or you want something untinted, I recommend UV Restore. It also has squalene in it, which is a lipid soluble or lipid mimicker. So what it does is it essentially can lock in that moisture and help improve your natural moisturization process. So it's very much a humectant and occlusive. There's also saccharide isomerates in here. So this will help with brightening up the skin tone. So if you struggle with like glycation, like a yellowing effect in the skin, that's where UV Restore comes into play. It also has ginger root extract. It is very creamy, very emollient, much like UV Daily. So if you're looking for a all mineral option like UV Daily, I would recommend UV Restore, and also it comes in that UV Restore tinted option as well. And then for those active consumers out there, if you are ready for the summer fun, we're coming up on Memorial Weekend. So we want to make sure you've got the right sunscreen for when you're in the water, you're doing those active sports. We've got some amazing options for you. So we have UV Sports. This is great for the whole family, golfers in your life, swimmers, skiers, runners, other athletes, right? So it is a hybrid formula. We're using vitamin E in this. It also has zinc oxide. It's a water-resistant formula for up to 80 minutes. 80 minutes. Now, as I said earlier, if you're going to be outside for a long period of time, please reapply your sunscreen every 2 hours. And it is recommended that even though this is water resistant for 80 minutes, once you get into the water and step outside of the water, it's still important that you reapply, right? But the great thing about UV Sport is this has a property in here of beeswax that will help resist that perspiration from disrupting your sunscreen application, and also help resist that sunscreen from dripping in your eyes. So that's one of the biggest complaints that a lot of, consumers will make, that, oh, the sunscreen is just dripping in my eyes, or it's stinging my eyes, it's burning my eyes. And that's because you've got some perspiration happening on the surface of your skin, right? Or maybe it's hot outside and you are sweating, right? Or you're just naturally hydrated. So that sunscreen can drip into the eyes and just be really unpleasant. So if that is the case, always look for something water resistant for you, but especially when you're being more active in your life, or you're on vacation, don't look to any further. UV Sport is the way to go. It is SPF 50. It is water resistant, as I mentioned, and you can put this on wet skin, which is my favorite feature of this product. So as soon as you step out of the water, you can put it on wet skin. So definitely great for the whole family. Comes in a nice 3-ounce option. And then UV Sheer, I have UV Sheer with me. Where did I put my UV Sheer? Here it is. Now, if you want something really, really lightweight for the body or the face, because this can also be used on the face, maybe you do struggle with maybe some body acne, or you just want something really thin because you don't want something to kind of feel a little funky under your clothing, UV Sheer is actually really lightweight. Hopefully you can see this here on my camera. And it's really blendable. So this is one of my favorites for deeper skin tones if you're wanting an untinted option. It's also great for anyone who has a lot of facial hair. So think of any, people in your life that have really thick, burly beards. This can get through that hair and not cause kind of buildup. It is water resistant for up to 80 minutes. It is a hybrid formula. It has the squalene in there as well. So it is hydrating. Even though it's really thin, it is very, very light and great for hydration. Again, sodium hyaluronate in this. And there's vitamin C, which I love. So you get antioxidants with UV Sheer as well that will help protect you against free radicals. So this is a great option for the body if you're wanting something really, really light, you're concerned about that white cast appearance. Again, it's also 80 minutes water resistant. And then of course we have UV Stick. UV Stick is my buddy. It's the accessory of all sun care, in my opinion. So if you had to pick one product today from us to add on to your cart, please think about UV Stick. It's one of my favorites. It is a broad spectrum formula. It's an all mineral formula using 22% zinc oxide. That is our highest percent of zinc that we use in any of our formulas. And it goes on pretty sheer. So once you put it on, you'll see it come on a little white, and then you blend it in and it's really transparent on the skin. Vitamin E, ethyl ferulate, which are lipid-soluble vitamins. They help with oxidative damage. water resistant for up to 80 minutes. It's TSA compliant, so it always comes with me in my carry-on. It's really soothing to the skin. So if you flush and blush easily out in the sun or indoors, this is something that I recommend that you touch up with just to help alleviate that skin concern, but also to protect your skin, right? Water resistant for up to 80 minutes can be used on the lips, the eyelids, the back of the ears, the scalp area, anywhere you need to reapply. A lot of our consumers love to leave this in their vehicle. It has been tested at high temperature level. It will not melt in your hot car during the summer months. And it's great for the back of the hand. So going back to that truck driver we looked at earlier, that UVA radiation is still penetrating. So when you've got long road trips, don't skip on UV stick, and it's great for the whole family. All right, for really dry, dehydrated skin concerns for the body, we have UV lotion. As I had mentioned, this is our legacy SKU, which came from UV Facial, right? Same formula, a nice full-size 8-ounce product. It's great for those who are a little bit more leisurely on their vacation. So like my girlfriend who was laying out in Mexico in the shade, she should have probably used some UV lotion, right? Because she was still getting that sun exposure being in those cloudy environments. But UV lotion is like a body lotion. It does not have that greasy kind of film behind. So if you need something with sun protection and something to hydrate your body, UV lotion is a great choice. Very, very creamy. And then those who are, wanting something for, younger children, 3 years and older, we have our UV Pure. It's 80 minutes water resistant. It's 100% mineral physical actives, chemical free. So, no chemical filters in this. Vitamin C in here as well. It is paraben free, it's fragrance free, it's all the free things. So if you are really sensitive, if you're wanting something on that, more mineral side of things, more, physical, that's where UV Pure comes into play. How do you choose the right EltaMD sunscreen? Well, I hope this was helpful, right? So a couple things that you want to look for is, are you choosing sunscreen for your face or for your body or both, right? Because there are differences. Do you want a mineral sunscreen or do you want a hybrid sunscreen? Do you want a tinted sunscreen? Do you not want a tint? Do you want it to have some key active ingredients? Do you want it to have water resistant labeling on it? Skin conditions. Think of, your skin type. There's not a one size fits all approach when it comes to sunscreen. And that's where EltaMD is really kind of taking it away, right? Every body under the sun deserves to live freely. We want you to have the sunscreen that you love to wear. So again, just by looking at your mineral options and your hybrid options, it's really, user's choice, dealer's choice. If you prefer physical, look no further. If you want, a nice hybrid formula, I mostly use a lot of hybrids, but as I told you, I'm wearing UVA elements today. To each his own. So would you wear the same kind of sunscreen when you go to work as you would go to the beach? Well, I hope you said no, right? Because if you learned anything from me today, we really do need a sun care wardrobe. So you need something for the face, you need something for the body, you need a water resistant formula, and you need something for reapplication in the whole family, which that's where UV stick comes into play. You're welcome to take a picture of this. This is a great kind of cheat sheet of ours, if you will, based on skin condition, based on your activity level, based on, if you're wanting all mineral. For our men consumers out there, we do have some specific options for you. They're great for everyone, but these are some amazing wardrobes that you all can take home. So hopefully this was helpful for you. You were able to listen to some of the key benefits and find the right choice for you today. Thank you all so much. And Chrissy, any questions out there?
We do have a few questions, and one actually just popped in. So I'm going to start with that one and probably work backwards.
Okay,
Uh,
perfect.
so Laura just asked, hot off the press, can the tinted sunscreens be used on the body without transferring to clothing?
That is a great question. I will say because they tend to have some emollients in there. If you're using like UVA elements, you're probably okay to apply it to the décolleté area, but I would avoid using it on, the rest of the body because it will probably transfer. So if you're wanting a tinted, option for the body, just be mindful of that. I would choose a water resistant tinted, so maybe UV physical or UV AOX elements would be a great choice.
Awesome. And that brings me to my next question. In the industry, I think we all know what this stands for, and we oftentimes forget that our abbreviations don't translate to the consumer very well. Can you explain what AOX is?
Yes. So AOX stands for antioxidants. So it's UV antioxidants, AOX, right? So that is our new family, our new portfolio of sun care. So we have the mist, we have the facial option, and we have now the eye option that will always come with a blend of those antioxidants that I discussed that will protect you against those other forms of visible light.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Dana is wondering if EltaMD sunscreens are approved for use in Australia.
That's a great question. I'm going to have our experts on the call and take that one away. I will say, if her question is on the ocean friendly, which I'm sure that's something they're thinking about in Australia, when in doubt, always go with our physical only options. So UV pure would be great globally, and UV physical would be a great option. UV AOX elements, anything that's all mineral from our brand is always a safe bet if you are in an environment that has some reef safety laws that you need to maintain.
Betty is wondering if you have any sunscreens that might also help to combat hyperpigmentation on the face.
Yes. So that choice is going to be UV AOX elements because it has those, what I said earlier, the melanogenesis inhibitors, right? So you've got the vitamin C in there, you've got iron oxides, you also have the bisabolol and the gingeroo. That is our recommendation for, hyperpigmentation. Also, if you're on the oilier side and you've got pigment, I would highly recommend UV Clear. UV Clear has the 5% niacinamide that is really great for melasma and post-inflammatory pigment.
5% for everyone out there is a big number when it comes
It
to
is.
niacinamide. It's actually quite a differentiator for that sunscreen.
Yes, and we recently have a clinical claim on UV Clear that shows an improvement in pigment, which was incredible on all Fitzpatrick's.
Janine would like to know, what Elta sunscreen do men tend to lean towards?
I would say UV Clear and UV Sheer. Those are the go-to. UV Clear on a day-to-day basis, that's the only one I can get my husband to wear. And then when he's golfing and he's, running around, I just sneak in a little UV Sheer because it's very, very silky. It blends really easily. They don't really have to actually spend too much time working it into the skin.
And actually, this is a really great question. Kathy is wondering if there is a difference between sunscreen and sunblock.
That is a great question. So, there isn't really anything that can block you from the sun. So that's not something that we really label or make a claim on in our brand because, we're still going to be exposed. There's no 100% proof sunscreen out there, right? So yes, there is a difference, right? We are using sunscreen. We have sunscreen filters that are protecting us, right? The other thing I just kind of want to leave you with on that question is there are other ways to protect yourself too. So don't just, skip out on your skincare. There's clothing that you should utilize as well, hats that you should utilize, your sunglasses, right? So no real sunblock out there, but yes, sunscreen and sunblock is a different term.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Of
I
course.
think we maybe got one more question.
Great.
Let's see here. Okay. Lynn just asked, which is the best choice to prevent acne or to help with acne prone skin and not too oily for the skin. She said preferably a lighter texture to use in a more humid country.
Yes. Okay. So I would recommend UV Physical just because it has the linoleic acid in there. That's going to regulate sebum, but you had mentioned you're not too oily. So there's still some hydrating properties in UV Physical. It also has some great properties to help regulate inflammation. So if you have more of that kind of acne that's a little bit more inflamed, I would recommend UV Physical as a great choice.
Awesome. I think we got them all, Michelle. Thank you so much.
Of
That
course.
was a fantastic presentation. Thank you so much for your time today. I do want to close with a couple of things. First off, if anybody has any additional questions about EltaMD, we do have an amazing customer care department who can help answer anything that you might need. And you can just email them at customercare@lovelyskin.com. Michelle, thank you so much for your time today. We really appreciate it. It was a wealth of information. I know I learned a lot. And we would love to have you back again. Thank you so much.
Sounds great. Thank you so much, LovelySkin. I hope you all found your right sunscreen to use from EltaMD. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.